Hey YouTube, how's it going? It's Britzy here, and the time has finally come. Ranked mode is finally being released in Valorant. Right, it has just released their Valorant patch notes 0.49. Let's jump into these notes and see what they've changed. So there hasn't been too many changes actually to at least the gameplay and the balance. So what you see in the actual game, there's not going to be too many changes. The only changes to characters has been to Omen. Omen now immediately becomes vulnerable and no longer appears dark after he leaves his alternate shadow form. And what this means is, if you've seen an Omen when he's ulted, it's really hard to tell at what point when shooting him are you going to kill his shadow and you're going to send him back, and at what point does he officially become vulnerable to where you can actually kill him. And this is very confusing. It was confusing for a lot of players, and it was confusing to me. And so what this changes is just to make it easier to tell exactly when he's going to shift from being vulnerable, or shift from non being vulnerable to being vulnerable, which where you can actually kill him. This is a good change. And then it says the radius of the arrival sound on Omen's form from the shadows has been reduced to 2250. So this is a buff to Omen in the sense that it's going to be harder to hear him. You won't be able to hear him from as far away. But they don't really tell us what distance or what units this 2250 is. I'm assuming it's the same units as in League of Legends. And for example, Caitlyn's auto attack range in League is 650 if I remember correctly. And so this should give you a good a good overview of how far this distance actually is if you've played League. Otherwise, just know that his sound has gotten buffed a little bit and you won't be able to hear it as far away. They've done a few visual updates. That's not really that big of a deal. They've had a few map updates. This will affect our gameplay a little bit. So in Haven, they added curtains to the top of the double doors in Garage to prevent sages from boosting and being able to see through the top of the garage doors. I actually thought this was kind of intended. I didn't know this was a bug, so this is surprising to me because it was actually relatively easy to see the sage boosting through the top of the door. But I could see why they might remove this. Maybe it's just something they didn't want, or they thought it gave an unfair advantage to Sage versus other champions playing in Garage. They fixed an issue of Cypher's camera being placed on the Haven A main boxes. This allowed Cypher to place his camera and see everywhere around him, but allowed his camera not to be shot. So that was 100% a bug, and that's why they fixed that. They fixed multiple fixes to geometry on all three maps. So the reason why they did this is there was numerous exploits where you could get out of the map, where you could do boosts and stuff that were not meant to be able to be done within the game. And this is just overall meant to help smooth out the gameplay, make sure there are no exploits, make sure gunfights are happening the way they should be. So that's really good to see. And then just some visual updates to make everything more consistent. And the update we all wanted, competitive mode and ranked matchmaking to go live in the near future. So this patch servers will go down at 4 a.m. Pacific time on April 29th, which today's the 28th, so servers will go down tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Pacific time, and the servers will be back online at 10 a.m. Pacific time on April 29th. But ranked will not be enabled as soon as the servers go live. The ranked will come out sometime shortly after the servers go live. They want to make sure everything that they implemented is working the way it's supposed to, and everything is running smoothly before they finally flip the switch and allow us all to get placed in Silver 3. Observer mode, this is something they added a few details to custom matches. They added a ghost cheat as an option, which allows us to fly around with cheat modes enabled. This will help people just trying to figure out like arrow spots, nade spots, and just generally test things in custom matches. This is really good to see. Several in-game visual upgrades. So they changed a bunch of things to make it easier for players to keep track of everything that they should be keeping track of. They added new directional damage indicators, low health and low ammo visuals, and a bunch of other things just to make it overall easier to keep track of everything you should be keeping track of in-game. Whereas outside the game, they also added a ton of stuff. They changed buttons and stuff on the match menu. They relocated a bunch of stuff within the menus. This is just all to make it look smoother, look cleaner, and increase ease of access within the main menus. And they also added a ton of quality of life and bug fixes. So the quality of life stuff is the only one that's really huge are these first three actually. So when you joined a custom match that did not have cheats on with your friends, there was no option to leave it. You got stuck in the match and you actually had to play the entire thing. But this allows us to finally leave those matches, which is really good if you want to test things with your friends. And they updated audio cues, which means there shouldn't be too many times now where you're saying, wait, I thought I heard footsteps to my left, why did the guy come to my right? Which has been happening a lot, so this should help with those audio cues. And players who dodge games are now going to start receiving penalties, and this is something I expected with Rank come out, because they're trying to make players play as a team and play around your team, so you don't want somebody to dodge every single game when his one-trick jet main gets picked by someone else on his team. And then they updated a few graphics and a few other things, which is good to see. And for all you OCD people, they moved the crosshair center dot by 1 pixel to make it absolute centered. So we should no longer miss our shots, right? And then just a ton of bug fixes. They fixed issues with Phoenix's ulti that had a few glitches on a few maps. They fixed the appearance of Viper's toxic screen on the minimap and a few animations with Viper's ulti. And then they just fixed a ton of small bugs throughout the game. And this is actually amazing to see. That means they're recognizing all these small bugs and they're acting on them within beta. None of these are game-breaking bugs. They're just things like smoothing out the movement during player-to-player collisions to allow things just to run more smoothly throughout the game. So nothing huge here. And then finally, they did some bug fixes on the client end. This is just to help with things on the client end, like connection issues, network issues, resetting controls, configurations. This is all just ease of access stuff and accessibility stuff on the client side. And this is all very good to see as well. But that is pretty much it. There's not huge changes on this patch except for competitive being released. It's a ton of bug fixes, which is what we want to be seeing during beta. But that's it for this patch. If you guys have any questions, just let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for future videos. And thanks everybody for joining again, and good luck in ranked mode.